Merit Lage token is immediately freed.
Yup. Pretty awesome.
So Rudy Briksza, the Standard Open champion, audibled off that deck and has decided to go with Shardless Bug instead. Maybe he thinks that deck is too untested.
Yeah,
and
probably.
Wants to go back-to-back with a sure thing, and Shardless Bug certainly is one of the best
All
decks
reliable.
in the format right now. As you can see, both of these players at 4-1. And
Yeah,
here we go.
It is pretty close to a straight-up mirror match. It looks like their main decks are identical. Yes, indeed they are. So this is just Jerry Thompson's stock list. And a couple of small differences in the sideboard, it looks like. But a lot of it is fairly cosmetic.
Really?
And this is going to be quite a grindy matchup, I feel.
I'm curious why Rudy just placed his Deathrite Shaman on top of his Bayou.
That's how he signifies it was on the stack.
Ah, okay.
His opponent was thinking.
So waiting to see if there was a response of Force of Will.
Yeah.
I've never seen a player do that before.
Usually the stack is kind of like off to the left or right.
Right. Well, it looks like Rudy might have an Ancestral in his hand that he's choosing not to suspend. So, Jonathan Marsh's Ancestral is already in suspend. And so maybe he is going to suspend it now. Yep, there it is. So he's going to be 2 turns behind instead of 1, but he got that Deathrite in play already, so then he got to play a Baleful Strix this turn instead of just the Deathrite or just the Baleful Strix. He has both in play. So, yeah, taking a turn off to... even if he suspended it right away, Jonathan Marsh's is still going to come out first.
Yeah.
So if Jonathan Marsh is going to try and fight over Rudy's Ancestral, he's still going to be able to with the extra cards. So you might as well wait another turn. This looks like an end-step Brainstorm with no shuffle effect. Can't say I'm the biggest fan of this.
This is one of your 7 deadly sins of brainstorming.
Yes,
is it not?
would have much preferred to see Jonathan Marsh just take the turn back, untap, draw a card, and then if you wanted to brainstorm then.
Because you draw one of the cards, you keep one of the cards from brainstorm, and then immediately you have to draw another one. So
Correct.
at the most, you can only get rid of one of the cards you put back, which is not the ideal situation.
You get one less card deeper into your deck, and you only get to get rid of one bad card. All for the price of 1 mana on your main phase instead of on end step.
I think you should write an article called The 7 Deadly Sins of Brainstorm. One of them should be playing with a white border version.
Yeah, that's definitely not okay. I'm not a stickler for cards usually, but a white border Brainstorm would.
I can't even, those are very rare though. I think it was one of the beatdown deck or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's one with no symbol also. I'm not sure though. So it looks like we're getting Hymn to Toroct.
2 random cards from Rudy's hand are going to go away.
At least he got that Ancestral out. Ooh, but he hits another Ancestral. Rudy would have liked to have both of those in suspend so that one of them was likely to resolve.
Time is on Jonathan's side here as he takes down his Ancestral 2 turns sooner. Exile your land, make
A
some
blind
mana.
Shardless Agent. Only 2 Ancestrals in the deck, so not likely to hit that. But a Baleful Strix is not bad. Draws a card and is just another thing, another threat.
So Jonathan Marsh is going to get more cards quickly, but Rudy's establishing a better board presence here with his creatures. That could matter as we get into the mid-game and possibly see some Jace the Mind Sculptor dueling going on.
Rudy's actually so far ahead on board, I'm not even sure we'll get to that point. It's very possible if Rudy has one more follow-up and we know that he has the Creeping Tar Pit in play also, it's possible that he just runs Jonathan Marsh down before he can take full advantage of the extra card advantage that he's generating. Chooses not to play his Liliana there because he's so it would just die instantly. It would trade for the front half of a Baleful Strix.
Yeah. Rudy would sacrifice a Baleful Strix and then just attack the Liliana with the other one. But instead, Jonathan's going to take 4 here. And Rudy's got another Shardless agent. James Bond number 2 comes down into a Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah, look at how many...
More board pressure for Rudy Briksza, just Creatures, creatures, creatures.
Look how many permanents he has. It's insane. Jonathan Marsh is actually so far behind, he's considering having to blow a Force of Will on the Deathrite Shaman. But he says, no, I'm still going to save it for the Ancestral. I'm going to try and draw out of this, get some removal spells, maybe change some Shardless Agents of my
really
own.
good cards. And
He's
a
got a-
fourth first draw step.
Yep, and he's got a Wasteland for the Tar Pit, a Shardless Agent, which should help him at least start to stabilize, the Force of Will for the Ancestral ticking down, so he's part way there. He's going to need to probably pulse the Deathrites. Alright, let's see what this blind Shardless Agent hits.
Chase, Abrupt Decay, that's not bad.
Yeah, Decay's not bad either. Probably tagging a Deathrite here. And then if he has Pulse, he can pulse Strixes instead. Alright, crack a Fetch in response and activate to drain Jonathan Marsh with the Deathrite on the way out.
Certainly put the Jace on the bottom of your library.
Yeah, it doesn't
for
get
the
to stay in play.
Cascade. How about a deck that cascades into Jace the Mind Sculptor? Can we
Bidimus
design
Blast. What's the other? There's the Worm and the Sphinx.
that? Enlisted Worm?
Yeah. What's the other 5-mana one? There's another 5-mana one.
Let me look up Cascade cards.
All right, Rudy takes the turn back. Is it go time? And he's going to decay the Shardless Agent and bash.
Continue to attack. 2, 4, 6 damage right there.
6 with 2 more taking off the Deathrite. With Force blue card in hand, Rudy has actually done the impossible. He has taken the beatdown role in the Shardless Bug Mirror. That does not happen very often.
But these cards, with all the card advantage, incidentally, they still are 2/2s, 1/1s.
It adds up, especially when you're casting them for free or just
Absolutely.
Drawing cards with them. Okay, the other
5-mana one.
5-mana Cascade.
Cascade spell was Deny Reality.
The bounce spell.
Yeah, we
Yes.
saw this played in the Swans deck.
Yes.
So how about that? You could
Return their Jace to their hand and then cascade
Cascade
into
into
your
your own.
Jace. Yes.
It's like you're facing 2 creatures, so you can't just play a Jace. You have to deny reality one of them, then your Jace comes in and bounces the other. You have a Jace against an
not
empty
bad
board.
either.
Yeah.
Okay.
there
So
are
we see
some-
Rudy Rudy won that game because he accurately assessed his role. His Ancestral Visions would have been a turn too slow, so instead of making it 1 turn behind, he made it 2 turns behind to get on board more, and then aggressively played his Shardless Agents to just try and overwhelm Jonathan Marsh while he's waiting. He has this card. He's going to be up cards, right? Theoretically, with the Ancestral ticking off, but in the interim, he's actually down a card because he has the Ancestral just off to the side that he's invested a mana into that hasn't done anything, right?
Correct.
So then Rudy gets to play his Deathrite on 1 and then suspended on 2, kind of for free. And then the rest of the game, he's just up a Deathrite Shaman, which is, operating on with an additional mana for the rest of those in-between turns. And he hit more creatures off of the Shardless Agents, just adding to his overwhelming board presence.
Yeah, we saw a Shardless Agent into a Baleful Strix and then a Shardless Agent into a Deathrite Shaman.
Value.
So what do these decks do out of sideboard in the mirror match?
Well,
There are many directions that this deck can go.
yes. The traditional way to play it is your Force of Wills come out, a lot of the discard comes out, and then you just want more individually powerful cards because the game does not usually play out like that. Usually it's a grind fest where both players are exhausted of resources and you're kind of in a top deck mode where one player maybe has a creature. And that's one type of game. That's the type of even game. Otherwise, one player's rolling away with it with massive card advantage. Rudy
Oh, Rudy has
has
a
some
Notion
spice.
Thief.
Yes, he's
A
got
Singleton Notion Thief, guys.
he's
This
got
is the
a Notion
mascot
Thief.
of Legacy.
He's got a Notion Thief that his opponent does not, and just about everything else in the sideboard's the same.
If you play blue-black in Legacy,
You must have one Notion Thief in the sideboard.
For value.
just so you can bring it in and have a story.
Yeah.
If you don't win the tournament, Go home with the Notion Thief story.
Well, it's also good if you make a top 8 with a Notion Thief in your sideboard, just one, and you exchange deck lists, they know you have a Notion Thief. They have to play around it, because if they play into it ever, it's so bad. So they have to play around it, even though you only have one copy, you probably don't have it in hand.
Yeah. And this is a matchup for that. Brainstorm, Ancestral Visions, Jace the Mind Sculptor, catching any one of those with Notion Thief.
Yes. Very, very strong. Both players have a couple disfigures, which are very useful. They take out Deathrite Shamans at tempo parity. They let Tarmogoyfs run into Tarmogoyfs, and you finish theirs off. Takes out any pesky Shardless Agents and Baleful Strixes. You're giving up some card advantage there for some tempo advantage, trying to exchange your 1 mana spell for their 2 and 3 mana creatures, just so that it's usually to protect the Jace, for example. And then also Disfigure also kills Notion Thief, which may or may not come up.
I was going to say, normally this matchup, you mentioned it's grindy. I mentioned the Planeswalkers, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Liliana the Veil. It never reached that point. Rudy took the game so quickly, we never reached the grindy portion where you're trying to fight to protect your Planeswalkers from the opposing creatures.
Yeah,
so the Disfigures could be very valuable in that situation.
Exactly. I mean, you're right. That is how it normally plays out. That was a very abnormal game from Rudy. He just, Snap recognized his role in the game, his position in the game, his route to victory, and then had some pretty solid cascades and was able to run away with it. But
it would be interesting if those cascaded into instead, say, Ancestral Vision, which is awesome. It's what you want to do, but not in that situation.
Yeah, he also only had 2 Ancestrals left in his deck. One got himmed, one was in suspend. But say he hit like a Brainstorm.
Yeah, not
or
great.
or a Thoughtseize, that would have changed a lot.
And now he brings in the Thief.
Can he steal a Brainstorm?
Can he steal a Notion?
I would be fine if Notion Thief stole the Brainstorm, but it's actually way better than that, because they still have to put 2 back.
Yes.
You draw the 3, but they put 2 back. I can't even calculate the card advantage that generates.
Well, it's kind of like your Plow Undering them. There's the black version of Plow Under, puts cards from their hand on top of their library.
All right, so it's the exact same thing. Ancestral versus Deathrite.
And we'll see if Rudy plays it the same way, using the Deathrite mana to cast more creatures. He currently does not have a fetch land in either graveyard. Both players naturally just playing out their Underground Seas. Now we'll get to see what's going on.
Brainstorm Strix, Shardless Agent, Jace, Tarmogoyf, and a Polluted Delta. So pretty stacked hand.
Rudy has a Polluted Delta that he can crack next turn to be able to make mana with the Deathrite Shaman, and he does have several creatures in his hand.
This is actually an interesting choice. What do you Thoughtseize here? I feel like it might be Shardless Agent, but you might actually just have to take Jace.
It depends on what's in Jonathan's hand. Jace is the biggest threat if he feels that it's going to reach that point.
It looks like he does take Shardless Agent.
Shardless Agent.
I don't mind that. Shardless Agent is definitely the card that is the scariest in the foreseeable future. Jace is a long ways off. The game's going to change a lot by then. Your Ancestral's going to be ticking down, and so on. In fact, that Ancestral should be at 3, no? Did he miss it?
Thoughtseize.
He suspended Ancestral on 1. It should be go to 3, and then...
You are correct, AJ.
It looks like he might have missed it.
We'll see if he remembers it on his next upkeep, and then ask the judge what to do. The judge will say, you missed your trigger. Well, technically, he'll ask Rudy Briksza what he wants to do.
Yes. Well, it looks like he's just stone missed it. So Rudy gets an extra turn of breathing room there.
And sometimes in those situations, when you do make a mistake, you don't want to let your opponent know that you know you made a mistake.
Yeah.
not just for the embarrassment factor, but also because maybe it will make them think that you'll make a similar mistake, and you can
They'll
use
play to
that
that as an out
You can use that to bait them later.
mind games.
Sure, I just call it covering up for your mistakes. I don't say it because of the embarrassment factor.
Right.
Into Torok here for Rudy. Only 3 cards left in Jonathan's hand, and 2 of them are going to go away. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or what? 4.
Yeah, there's the
Which
one
to
you keep.
Sure.
So he's a
Save
Baleful
some
Strix in a
time.
land, leaving him with an currently uncastable Tarmogoyf. You can cast it off the Deathrite Shaman, but I assume Rudy's going to get rid of that Underground in response, were he to try and make mana from it.
Alright, so we have the situation with the dueling Deathrite Shamans.
Liliana of the Veil is a nice draw.
And indeed, that's what Jonathan's going to go for. He's got the creatures to defend.
Immediately bins Strix. Takes out the land. And
Jonathan
Brainstorms.
lets him take the land there.
Makes sense. If Rudy untaps, cracks a fetch, and then tries to make a mana on his main phase, that mana is way more important because of Jace. So let him have a mana on end step. What's he going to do? Brainstorm that he's going to have to redraw one of those cards anyway?
There you go, another end of turn Brainstorm.
Did he
with
just
no
not
shuffle
put
effect.
Ancestral on top? Oh my goodness. He messed that up. He was supposed to put Ancestral on top and then Shardless Agent into it. Well, now he can't because he doesn't have a third mana. So he just plays a Tarmogoyf and passes. Hopefully he put it 2 down this time.
Rudy Briksza with a Tarmogoyf trying to threaten Liliana of the Veil. But that Baleful Strix is going to stand right in the way. Well, that's a very large Tarmogoyf.
It is quite robust. So
Creature,
Jonathan Marsh,
land, instant sorcery, artifact, Shardless Agent,
Robot Owl.
and the Robot Owl.
So Jonathan Marsh gets to play his Tarmogoyf here, be Hellbent, and plussing Liliana, so that's just a free card. Plus Ancestral taking off next turn, he's going to be up quite a bit. This turn could have been Jace, but instead it's Shardless into Ancestral. So Rudy sort of preempting Jonathan Marsh's Ancestral, but with Force of Wills in their sideboards, the Ancestral's gonna go off anyway.
So
Rudy
here
corrects
we
a
are.
fetch.
We've reached the mid-range portion of this game,
Yes.
where the Planeswalkers make a big difference and using the creatures to either attack or defend. Jonathan Marsh has the advantage here with Liliana of the Veil, and they have these similar groupings of creatures, so cannot really get through Rudy Briksza.
Yep. And now another Deathrite Shaman. So Rudy just trying to bolster his board a little for his Jace that should be coming down next turn, assuming it doesn't get hit by a discard spell off of this Ancestral. Looks like Abrupt Decay, Brainstorm, Land, and Disfigure. Rudy's got a Disfigure of his own as well.
Jonathan could think about getting a little bit more aggressive here with a Disfigure and an Abrupt Decay in his hand. Tarmogoyfs are 5/6s. There you go, Abrupt Decay, Tarmogoyf. Swing with my Tarmogoyf.
I like it.
Leaving the Baleful Strix back to defend Liliana against the Shardless Agent. And the Deathrite Shamans can just stare at each other. Because as Cedric Phillips likes to say, they're 1-2s. Why not?
Well, Liliana of the Veil did not get activated yet. Oh, I thought Rudy was going to untap. Looks like Jonathan Marsh is going to plus it. I like it. Allow yourself to edict and leave your Planeswalker in play. Wow, Rudy pitched the Strix. So his hand must be fairly stacked if that's the worst card in it.
At least a Tarmogoyf, 2 Tarmogoyfs.
2 Tarmogoyfs and a Disfigure are the ones that I can see.
Boom, drops both Tarmogoyfs.
And then we know about the Jace. So yeah, his hand is...
Okay, so he's going to attack with the Shardless Agent.
Bit of a misstep there, playing his Goyfs first.
I was just about to say that. If he had attacked first, Jonathan likely would have traded the Baleful Strix for the Shardless Agent, but instead he wants to leave the Strix back to be able to trade with one of the Tarmogoyfs next turn.
Yep.
Okay, and we go with an end of turn. Deathrite Shaman activation.
Rudy's going to use it, the Deathrite, while Jonathan's Deathrite is untapped to make a mana and disfigure the Strix.
And at some point with all this Deathrighting, I have to wonder if they've run out of lands and maybe the Tarmogoyf is going to be one smaller.
That is definitely a possibility as the game goes longer. A couple lands and a Shardless Agent there for Jonathan.
So
Put 2 lands back in Shardless.
Still 1 land in the graveyard at least.
Spin the wheel. Get past 2 lands and
3 lands and gets us free Strix.
a
and
backup
card draw.
Strix.
Not bad, not bad.
Plus it discarding the land, protecting his other card you got off the Strix. Don't know what that is quite yet. Looks like it's a Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Meanwhile, Rudy forced to discard his own Jace, which grows all of the Tarmogoyfs. They are now 6/7s, thanks to the Planeswalker.
Wow, he draws Liliana for Jonathan's Jace.
Okay, so this is actually the very first time I've seen this in Legacy. Dueling
Planeswalker
Planeswalkers.
versus Planeswalker.
Both of them have Liliana of the Veil. We're pretty much going to be all hellbent all the time, but Jonathan draws a fantastic one for this situation. Creeping Tar Pit, unblockable, can threaten the Planeswalker.
I think he already has 1 Tar Pit, so his second one is even more protection, and he has the Strix, which not only flies, but also has, plays defense very, very well against what Rudy's presenting. He does indeed just take out the Liliana plus his own, and now it's time to attack back with some Tarmogoyfs. Rudy is certainly quite a bit behind, but at any point, well, I was going to say Jace would do it, but Creeping Tar Pit, threatening any Planeswalker that Rudy would bring to the table, he's likely going to have to Ancestral one more time to win this game.
So there you go, 2 Tarmogoyfs and a Shardless Agent attacking Liliana of the Veil. Jonathan gonna consider his blocks here.
I think it's just Tarmogoyf and Agent on one of the Goyfs and let Liliana die. The alternative is chump with a Deathrite. Oh, okay, he chumped with the Shardless Agent, blocked one of the Goyfs, and let the Shardless Agent of Rudy hit the Liliana down to 1. I suppose that's reasonable. I think getting a Tarmogoyf on the off the board might be better. I don't know how good a Liliana at 1 is going to be. Jonathan Marsh draws a Hymn to Torok, and this is the exact reason why I was saying that discard spells usually come out, at least when I'm playing. They don't have a lot of purpose in these types of game states that happen oh so often. It is a real grind fest. Creeping Tar Pit not getting in there.
Yeah. So the Deathrite Shaman activation targeting what? The
Shardless Agent.
So Rudy was trying to gain 2 life. Jonathan denies him that.
Wasteland is a pretty good draw.
Wasteland's a great draw in this situation against the Creeping Tar Pit.
Yeah, because he was trying to set up a double block on Goyfs, on a Goyf, and trade the Strix for the other one. Or maybe trade for the Shardless Agent. Goyf and Strix on the 2 Goyfs, but Wasteland is such a good draw there.
So yeah, I don't. If what I think happened, I don't agree with that block. If Liliana's gonna die anyway, might as well eat the Shardless Agent with your Goyf rather than bounce your
Bounce
Goyfs.
off, yeah.
So these guys both playing very quickly, you can see, perhaps mindful of the clock if they think it's going to go to a game 3.
Yeah, these matches often do go to time, so it wouldn't be too surprising to know that they were mindful of that.
Jonathan has a creeping tar pit that he keeps choosing not to attack with. Feels he's on the back foot here because Rudy has 2 Deathrite Shamans going to Jonathan's
I really don't like this brainstorm.
Finds an abrupt decay for the Goyf, so maybe that's enough.
He definitely is forcing a lot of damage now. The tar pit is likely priced into trading with the agent now.
Goyf, we believe, is a 6/7. So much has been happening so quickly.
Trade happens, Tarmogoyf gets through, takes a huge chunk out of Jonathan Marsh's life total. Deathrite Shaman gonna target something. Rudy's probably gonna counter this, and he does, gaining 2 life himself. And he still has another Deathrite Shaman untapped to lock out Jonathan Marsh's.
Well, he doesn't have an open mana available, so either the black or the green ability he can't stop.
True.
All Jonathan has is his own second Deathrite Shaman, but Rudy smashes with a Goyf.
Plays a fetch land and passes. Jonathan Marsh likely should have gained 2 life while Rudy couldn't activate the green ability, so that he can take 1 more hit from the Tarmogoyf, but instead... Well, he couldn't even take a hit because the Deathrite Shamans are still lethal. So Jonathan Marsh in a big world of hurt here. He's going to have to chain like Shardless Agent into Ancestral, into Baleful Strix, or some insane sequence to get out of this.
Well, Rudy's going to attack here, force Jonathan's hand. He has to at least block with a Deathrite Shaman, and then he's probably going to try to activate it in response before it dies, and Rudy's just going to fizzle that activation with his own.
Yeah. And it plays out as you say.
Deathrite Shaman advantage here. Rudy forcing the action.
Tries again. Rudy does it again. Rudy gains 2 life, but Jonathan Marsh does get to untap and get 1 activation out of his Deathrite, but it's not going to be enough.
But he needs to have a blocker for the Tarmogoyf.
This has got to be a Shardless Agent combo turn. Looks like he hits another Hymn to Torok, and yet another example of how bad that card is in exactly this type of game state. Looks at his life total. Jonathan Marsh letting the loss sink in, facing down. All right, so he's gonna play it out.
He can't untap quickly enough.
Yeah, he's gonna play it out. He's not technically dead this turn.
Drain you. Gonna force Jonathan here to do something. Says no, I have to block. Block. Jonathan activates. Rudy activates in response on the same target.
Like, yep. No,
Fizzles
I'm
it.
gonna gain. Deathrite dies.
And pretty much lethal any which way.
Yeah, it's got to be an insane sequence.
It's got to be Mutilate plus Creeping Tar Pit. Or Damnation.
Shardless into Ancestral into Waste Pulse Chump. Untap Jace.
I don't think there's enough mana or cards.
No, I just did it.
You did that?
He does have an out. Draw your card. No.
There you go, Rudy Briksza. The Standard Open champion.
Yep.
Still alive, looking to make it back to back, as he said himself, looking to Jerry Thompson this weekend.
That's a good goal.
Yeah, everyone should want to Jerry Thompson every weekend.
I agree.
Yeah, even if